To animate means to bring something to life. And with the GameBrix Animator, that's exactly what you can do. Bring your ideas to life. A more common definition for animation is to make something move. In this tutorial, we're going to draw a robot character for our video game, and then animate it so the robot is walking. When you're creating a character for a video game, it's a good idea to set the dimensions of the animation before you get started with the drawing. I'm going to go ahead and set the width and height of my animation in the Properties window to 120 pixels wide by 180 pixels high. Now it's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to zoom in so I can see it better. Before we can start animating, we need to draw the robot. We'll just use some basic shapes to do that. We'll start with the rectangle tool for the head, and we'll choose the color here. And then the line tool to draw the body. And then we can use the paint bucket tool to fill in the body. I'm also going to add a circle at the bottom of that here for the hips with a slightly darker color. And another smaller circle for the eye of the robot. Then we'll use the line tool again to draw the neck and the antenna for the robot. And then we can just fill in the neck with the paint bucket. In order to make the robot walk, we'll need its legs to move separately from the rest of its body. So we'll create two new layers, one for the front leg and one for the back. I'm going to click on the middle layer here and use the line tool to draw the front leg. And I'll click on the top layer here and use the line tool again to draw in the back leg. And then we can just fill those in. Now, as you can see, it doesn't look quite right. It looks like both legs are on the same side of the robot's body. So to change the order of these layers, we can just click and drag to send one to the front or the other to the back. So I'm going to set it so that the leg sticking out in front is on the front, and the leg that's more vertical is in the back. Traditional animation is created by having a whole bunch of different drawings where each one is slightly different than the one before it. Each of those drawings is called a frame. GameBrix Animator displays all of those frames at the bottom of the screen in an area called the timeline. As you can see, we only have one frame at the moment. It's that little blue dot here to represent the keyframe. So what we're going to do is create a whole bunch of other keyframes and have each one be slightly different than the one before it. So the next step is to add another keyframe. Simply click on the button here that says keyframe, and you'll see you get a second little dot there. And now what we're going to do is erase these legs and draw in new ones that are in slightly different positions. I'm going to use the eraser tool, and I've got my mode set to pencil and the brush size set to 32. And I just need to click on the layer that the leg is on. So I've got the back leg on this bottom layer here. I'll erase that one. And you can see it only erases things on that layer that you have selected. And I'll click on this top layer for the front leg and erase that as well. Now, as you may have noticed, when we erased that top leg, it also erased the top layer because there was nothing left there. The reason it didn't erase the bottom one is because there's probably something hiding behind there that we didn't erase. So to turn off one of these layers, we can just click on the eyeball here. And yep, there it is. We'll leave that there for now, that's fine. Turn that layer back on. So we just need to add another layer again for the top leg. So I'll select that layer, and I'm going to draw the top leg back in a slightly different position. And now we can go to the bottom layer and redraw the back leg as well. And now you know the basic process we're going to use to create the rest of the animation. We're just going to keep on adding another keyframe, erasing the legs on that keyframe. Adding in the layer if we need to. And redrawing those legs in a different position again. And we're going to do that for about 6 or so more keyframes, depending on how detailed you want the animation to be. Alright, in the interest of time, I've skipped ahead here, and as you can see, I've got 8 keyframes, and you can preview the animation by just clicking and dragging this blue rectangle across the timeline. Hopefully you've been saving your work as you go along. And now that our animation is complete, we can publish it so that we can bring it into our game. So let's click File, Publish. And you can see a little preview window of it here. Now it's moving a little bit faster than I'd like. So I'm going to close this and come down to the timeline, and I'm just going to add a normal frame, not a keyframe, after each of my keyframes here. So I'll click on the keyframe right above it there, and then click Frame to add a frame. And what this is going to do is it's going to make the animation twice as long and twice as slow. So we'll be able to see the movement a little bit clearer. There we go, that's a little better. Now that our animation's published, we can come into the game editor and load it up there. There's a little preview window here, so you can just double check, make sure it's the right one. So I'm going to add that to my game and put it into an object I've already built. And then I'll just place those objects into a level here. And test it out. And as you can see, we have our robot, and it's cycling through its animation as it moves around in the game. That's the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other tutorials on how to actually build these games.